everyone, I'm Sarah Lawson from Sew Sweetness. Thanks so much for joining me for Sewcial Sunday, my weekly sewing chat. Today I'll be talking about the R&K turning tool. I'll give you a sneak peek into my latest project, my progress on my new hexagon quilt along rosettes, hexie kits from I Heart Tula Pink. The book review will be for Piece and Quilt with Precuts, and stay tuned for the great giveaway at the end. Okay, just as a friendly reminder, everything that I talk about on Sewcial Sunday is linked to in the description, so if you're interested in finding out more about any of the notions or fabrics that I talk about, be sure to check that link in the description. So I had my sewing treat over the past weekend, and hi to all of the ladies. I know Linda said at the retreat that she'd be watching me tonight, and hello also to everybody that's jumping in on the chat. So hi to Heidi, Margot, Gwenna, Paula. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I see a lot of familiar faces every Sunday, so thanks so much for watching every week. My favorite part of the chat is at the beginning talking about the notion of the week, and this week's notion is the R&K turning tool. So my previous turning tools were bamboo type turners, which was a wooden stick with sort of a blunt tip end to turn fabrics right side out or to poke out corners. Just a little background, before we do Sewcial Sunday every week, we prepare an hour before, so we set up the lights, the cameras, get all the software going, and since I was away this weekend at my sewing retreat, I prepared all of my graphics and things before I left, and I was planning on talking about the turning tool. Unfortunately, even though I have a graphic in the overlay of what it looks like, my husband took it for non-sewing related purposes before the weekend, and it's kind of like sewing scissors. You know, certain things in the sewing room are for sewing only and need to stay in the sewing room, and he took it for, I don't even know, to measure something or whatever, and it didn't get put back, so I actually couldn't find the turning tool while we were getting ready for the chat. So hopefully this graphic will do, but what I like about this tool is it's all metal. It has a little bit of weight to it, so that's nice. And the tip of the turning tool is sort of a metal ball, and it's all welded in one piece, so it's not a separate ball that could break off of the tool. But I like the ball tip because it's about the size of a pin, the plastic portion of a pin. And in the past with my other turning tool, I would occasionally make a little hole in my fabric or rip a couple stitches if I was being too aggressive with poking out my corners, but this tool is nice because it has that smooth metal tip, and I can gently poke out my corners and be a little bit more firm with it because of the tip, and I've never made a hole in any of my corners. For example, if I'm making a pocket or if I have to sew a square right sides together and turn. This is a really helpful tool for turning out the corners. And again, as with everything that I talk about, the link to that R&K turning tool will be in the description, so if you're interested in finding out more, check on that link. So I want to know, and let me know in the comments, what turning tool are you currently using? Are you using like a bamboo type chopstick? Do you have something else, maybe something better, a better suggestion than that R&K turning tool? I'd like to know, so let me know in the comments and leave me a note about that. All right, so as I mentioned, this past weekend, I was hosting my Sew Sweetness retreat here in Chicago, and while there are classes during the day, in the evening, the retreat attendees have free sewing time, so that means they either continue working on that day's project if they didn't finish the project in class, or they bring extra projects to work on during the free sewing time in the evening, because we have free sewing time until midnight, so that's quite a lot of sewing that can get done during that time. And so during my free sewing time in the evening, I was working on my third rosette from the new hexagon quilt along, and this is all green fabrics, and my project is all Tula pink fabrics, and I took a lot of time fussy cutting them. And my favorite part of this rosette is the chipmunk here, and it's actually two diamond pieces, English paper pieced together, and as you can see, I spent a lot of time fussy cutting, and the chipmunk continues from one diamond to the next, and so I had a really good time working on this, and this rosette's almost done. I just need to add one more border around the outer edges, and then this one's finished. And I finished 3 already, and it's a lot of fun working on these, and I think my next one will be orange. So when I'm choosing fabrics for these, I probably spend more time choosing the fabrics than actually piecing the quilt together. I try to pick fabrics. Obviously, I'm going for, you know, all one color scheme for each rosette, but I try to pick fabrics that when you squint at the quilt, you can differentiate between the different pieces. So for example, I've got like a yellowish green here, fabric here, more of a lime green fabric that reads as a solid here, and some darker ones as well to break up some of the lighter greens. So I finished all of the pieces that I had prepped. I finished sewing them this weekend to this portion of the rosette, so I'm really excited to move on to the next rosette, and I had a lot of fun during the evening sitting and chatting while I worked on my English paper piecing. More about the retreat in a little bit, but I also promised you last weekend that I'd start showing sneak peeks of my new project, and so in the corner of your screen is the logo for my new project, and it's called Minikins, and it's 12 patterns, so 12 patterns with videos. It will be released on October 23rd, and starting tomorrow I'll be showing one photograph a day of a sneak peek of each project. So I'm really excited about these. They're all about 15 steps or less, and I feel like they're great for all skill levels, and the reason is that the confident beginner will enjoy these projects because they're quick projects, again 15 steps or less. And I also feel like the more accomplished sewist will appreciate the projects as well because they're quick and great for craft fairs. I know a lot of people that use my patterns make things to sell either online or on Etsy, and so these projects are perfect for that, and they don't take a lot of supplies. Most of the projects take a fat quarter for the exterior and a fat quarter for the lining, minimal amounts of interfacing, and most of them have maybe one zipper. Some of the projects have no zippers, but they're all really quick projects. And again, Minikins is 12 patterns plus videos, and they'll be released on October 23rd. And if you're watching this broadcast, you're already following me on Facebook. We'll be showing the previews on Facebook, Instagram, across all social media. So be sure to check every day for those sneak peeks, and I'm so excited to start sharing the projects with you and for the release on October 23rd. And again, that's my Minikins project. All right, the fabric of the week is actually this kit from I Heart Tula Pink. So as I showed you that new hexagon English paper piecing that I was working on this weekend, this is a kit of English paper piecing hexagons. So the kit contains 12.5-inch squares of Tula Pink fabrics, a spool of thread, needles, and the cardstock hexagons already pre-cut for you. So hexagons are a great chance to try out English paper piecing. I really love English paper piecing because if I go to an appointment, if my kids have a swimming lesson or other lesson, or I'm just waiting around for whatever reason, English paper piecing helps me get through it quickly. So as you can see in the corner of your screen, a little bit more detail of what is included in the kit, but it also comes in this cute pink packaging, which is perfect for gift giving. And again, this is the hexagon kit from I Heart Tula Pink, and these are available in varieties of Tula Pink fabrics from their website. I have 2 of these, and they're really great and cute, and I can't wait to get started on this particular kit. So that's the fabric of the week in my stash. Okay, so my small issue, and I don't know if it is an issue in fact, but my hobby is sewing and my business is also sewing. And so because both of those things are going on at all times, I'm pretty much always sewing, and I felt like I needed to have an extra hobby just to bring a little bit of a healthy choice to my life. And so I thought I might take up a musical instrument. So as a kid, I took piano lessons for about 8 or 9 years, but because I haven't played the piano in so long, I've sort of lost that information in my brain. I don't think I could sit down at a piano and just play a really long song like how I used to. I used to play 16-page songs with lots of repeats and learn the songs by heart, and a lot of they were all classical songs. Maybe I'll take up the piano again one day, but in the meantime, I decided to purchase a ukulele. So I got this ukulele in hard case on Amazon, and I thought it would be nice to learn how to play the ukulele because I dabbled in the past with the guitar, and I felt like it was just, for me personally, it was too big of an instrument, and the strings were really tough on my fingers. And so I got this soprano ukulele. I know there's a lot of free videos and patterns on YouTube, and in fact, the reason I was inspired to choose the ukulele as an instrument to learn was I taught at a sewing retreat in Florida last month at the Crafty Gemini retreat, and one of the retreat attendees was actually a music teacher from California. Her name was Mirta, and we were having a nice chat one evening after the classes were over, and she knows how to play several instruments, and she also teaches voice, and she said that the ukulele would be a great instrument as a starter instrument for either my kids or myself to take back up music as an adult. So I wasn't sure if I was going to go with the free instruction for the songs on YouTube or if I should sign up for some music lessons, but I thought maybe I might need the structure of the music lessons to get me to continue on with the ukulele, but I'm really excited to learn how to play this, and let me know in the comments if you play the ukulele, what you think. If you have any suggestions as far as the music lessons or anything like that. I don't know. Hopefully I can keep with it. Let me check with some of the comments. Excuse me. Heidi wanted to know the patterns that I'm coming out with, the Minikins, if they will be cork fabric friendly, and I think they definitely will. And actually I made a few versions in cork fabric, so they're great for sewing with cork. Diane wanted to know, are the Minikins the only release of patterns and videos in October? And I actually, because we've been doing so much with the videos, I actually really haven't released much in the way of new patterns this year, but the Minikins is my only release for the year. But again, it's 12 patterns with the videos, so I'm hopefully that will be substantial so I can feel like I haven't been slacking this year. Anyway, and let's see. Oh, Kathy just joined in. Kathy is from California, so hi Kathy, thanks for joining us. My book review of the week is for Piece and Quilt with Precuts by Christa Watson, and this will be part of the giveaway later in the chat, but I just wanted to show you some of the projects that are in the book. So in the overlay in your screen, you can see some photographs of the quilt patterns that are in the book. And this is 11 quilt patterns as well as motifs to machine quilts, the finished quilts. And I really like this format in the book. First of all, it's hard to know what to do with the pre-cuts that you buy at the store, whether they be charm packs or fat quarter bundles. I always like to see a little bit of a suggestion for myself so I know what to do with those pre-cuts. But the nice thing about this book is that there are instructions on how to make the project. So for example, this quilt, the illustrations are given to make the entire project. And then at the end of the pattern, there are illustrations as well as written instructions on how to machine quilt the projects. And I feel like this is a great, almost of a starter kit to quilting and machine quilting, because I am not an accomplished machine quilter, and I always feel like I need direction on how to exactly quilt my finished quilt top by machine. And so the nice thing about this book is that everything's in there. So just pick up your pre-cuts, piece the quilt top, and then put together the quilt using the machine quilting suggestions given in the book. And they're very precise. They tell you exactly how to piece and quilt the quilt. So I think this is a great book, and again, the signed copy of this book will be available later in the giveaway at the end of the chat. Okay, so I wanted to show you some photographs that we took at the retreat this weekend. Again, this is called Sew Sweetness Retreats, and these are just some pictures excuse me, from myself and the students at the retreat over the weekend. So The retreat kicked off on Thursday night, so we had check-in at the hotel. The hotel was in Chicago, about 5 minutes away from O'Hare Airport, so very easy to access from the airport, and there was a free shuttle from the airport to the hotel, so that was really convenient because whenever I'm traveling in a new city that I've never been before, it's always a bit stressful finding out how I'm going to get from location to location, and nobody needed to use public transportation or get a cab. The shuttle was available to take them to the hotel. We had a welcome mixer on Thursday night, so we had 25 attendees, and they all got to meet each other in the bar area of the hotel. And I introduced myself, and we had a bit of a chat, as well as the guest teacher. The guest teacher was Janelle McKay from Emmeline Bags, so it was definitely a bag-making weekend. And also they got to meet Deb Cornella from Quilter's Quest in Woodridge, Illinois, which is a suburb about 30 minutes outside of Chicago. And Deb provided all of the Bernina sewing machines that everyone used at the retreat. So nobody had to bring their sewing machine on the plane because there were only actually 2 locals at the retreat, and everybody else was from a different state. So we had folks from Seattle, Virginia, Nashville, Florida, Canada, so a lot of states were represented, and it was really nice that nobody had to lug a heavy sewing machine. So we were working on Berninas over the weekend. There was class during the day on Friday and Saturday, so Janelle taught the necessary clutch wallet on Friday during the day, and I taught my Crimson and Clover train cases pattern on Saturday, and then in the evening until midnight, everyone had free sewing time. We also had free sewing time on Sunday, and the nice thing about the location of the hotel is it was located in what's called the Entertainment District in Rosemont. So just steps outside of the hotel, there was a huge grass area with lots of restaurants and entertainment. There was a comedy club, a bowling alley, a movie theater. On Saturday night, some of the ladies got together and went to see the newest Tom Cruise movie, so that sounded like a lot of fun. And Friday night, a huge group went to Gibson's Steakhouse, which is a well-known steakhouse in Chicago, and that was just walking distance from the hotel. And they showed me some pictures from when they went to Gibson's. They had dessert. They got 2 slices of cake, and the cake was bigger than a person's head. It was a huge cake, and obviously they all shared the cake, and it just seemed like the perfect weekend for everyone because a lot of the ladies went downtown to Chicago on the train. Janelle went to Navy Pier. She went to the architectural boat tour in Chicago. So there was a lot to do besides just the sewing, even though the sewing was plenty. Some of the ladies came in pairs, but a lot of the ladies didn't know each other. So it was a great opportunity to meet other sewists, other people that had things in common. And one of the attendees, Jackie, told me that she watches Sewcial Sunday, but she calls herself the lurker. So I was hoping if Jackie was watching, she would leave her first comment. So we'll see if Jackie's with us tonight. But there were so many inspirational ladies that were there. It was so nice. Margaret and Sherry were helping each other finish their train cases. The 2 Kellys were there. Kelly Rao, who owns a Facebook group called Creative Bag Making, and the other Kelly were meeting each other for the first time. And it was just so great to see all of the connections that we all had with our common interest of sewing. So the retreat was a lot of fun. The next Sew Sweetness retreat will be in June. If you're not already signed up for my newsletter, make sure you sign up for the newsletter to be the first to hear about the retreat in June, because I'm sure it's going to go quickly as there's only 25 spots. So let me check some of the comments. Dawn asked, what skill level do you need for the retreats? And we welcome all skill levels. As the projects for this retreat were both bags. Some of the people had made bags a lot in the past, and sometimes we have quilters who don't really ever make bags or don't make them very often. So any skill level is welcome, as long as you know how to use a sewing machine and you've sewn before. You're good to go for coming to the retreat. Karen said, I'm looking forward to trying to get to one of your retreats in 2018. And I noticed that Kim said in the comments, she said, hi Jackie, I'm a lurker as well. So it's definitely okay if you're lurking in on the chats, but if you ever want to say hi or if you have a question, go ahead and leave that at the comments at any time. And I feel like Sewcial Sunday is beginning to become sort of a community, and I know I'm recognizing familiar faces week after week, and I'm sure if you're tuning in every week, you are as well. So feel free to use the comment area as a chat area also. I really like to see that. So I hope you enjoyed those photographs from the retreat, and I'm really excited for the next retreat in June. So I don't have a sewing tutorial for tonight because I'm a little bit tired. I had a really great weekend, but I need to recoup some of my energy. So we'll have another sewing tutorial next Sunday. I'm going to get right to the giveaway for the week. The giveaway for tonight is for that signed book, Piece and Quilt with Precuts by Christa Watson, as well as a Seamingly Accurate seam guide. So this seam guide is meant to be stuck to the bed of your sewing machine, and it's also removable, so if you want to move it or put it to the side for a little while. But the nice thing about this seam guide is that it contains a lot of different measurements, so not only a 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch, but for example, if you're hemming pants, there's 1 inches, there's all sorts of different measurements, and it's also great for piecing half square triangles, which you'll see in the graphics in the corner of your screen. So this has a lot of different uses. It's an inexpensive product, but really useful and perfect for sticking to the bed of your sewing machine. And again, it's not permanent, so you can move it or take it off and then re-stick it down at any time. So this will be included in the giveaway as well. In addition to a set of quilt patterns from May Chappell, and again, the overlay in the corner of your screen are an example of some of the quilt patterns in the arsenal of May Chappell, and these are great for piecing. There's also some small accessories like this cased bag. So a good selection of quilt patterns from May Chappell. So the quilt patterns, the seam guide, and the signed book will be given away to one randomly drawn winner who leaves a comment by the end of the day on October 7th. And all you need to do to enter the giveaway is to answer my giveaway question. If you could travel anywhere in the world for a sewing retreat, where would you go? So maybe a particular state, a different country. If money was no object, where would you go for a sewing retreat? And I was thinking about this, and I think I would like to go to either Europe or Australia. I love the selection of Australian fabrics and projects that I see online, and I think it would be really interesting to take a sewing retreat there and see all of the local wildlife, and also going to Europe because I've always wanted to go to Europe and see a lot of the historical buildings and architecture and all that stuff. So that's where I would go for a sewing retreat. Brenda had a question in the comments. She said, are all of your retreats in the Chicago area? For now, they are in Chicago, just because it's easy for us to get our ironing boards and all of the supplies over to the retreat location. And my children are also still school age as well, so I need help from my family for the retreats, and it's just easier for us for now to have the retreats local, but maybe in the next year or two, I would definitely like to have them at other locations, other states. We're definitely looking into that, but for now, they will be in Chicago, and the next retreat in June will be in Chicago as well. Let's see if there's any other questions coming through. Cindy asked if we could have a retreat in Wyoming. She said beautiful scenery and lots to do on my bucket list. So yeah, I love traveling, and I would love to have the retreat in different states each time. So we'll definitely look into that. But be sure to answer the giveaway question to be entered into my giveaway for the book, the seam guide, and the patterns. And I hope to see you again next Sunday for Sewcial Sunday at 5 p.m. Central Time.